Yeah, no, I would agree. Speaking of the Timberwolves, because I know that's one of the games that like is a very, I guess, questionable game on the calendar. Do we know if Ja is going to be back for that game?
We do not. So he's supposed to miss at least 4 more games. Um, so we'll see. I mean, the NBA still hasn't made their decision either way. So the Colorado Police Department in Glendale, they dropped the charges because they were investigating it. They or
Yeah,
not charges. They didn't charge them with anything formally, but they were investigating the situation. So they dropped the investigation because they said lack of evidence.
yeah,
But that's probably I have $200 million here, go away type thing. It's probably what that is. That's
more
usually how that goes.
more than
Like
likely.
if it was you or me, we'd probably have the book thrown at us. Power of money.
The
But
book and then some.
yeah, and then some. You may be sitting in a cell next to each other, like, "Hey, reporting to you live from our jail cell." It's it's Jake and Tyler. Um, but like, um, but like the NBA could suspend him for 50 games minimum. That's not the maximum. That's the minimum.
Yeah,
So, I mean, if they wanted to, um, yeah, I mean, he could miss all the rest of this season and the playoffs. Now, I don't think they will.
yeah,
I think if they suspend him, I think very likely the Grizzlies will probably play him a handful of games. I think they'll suspend him for like 15 games or whatever, because even if they do, they'll probably still be in like they'll at least be in the playoffs. They'll be in
yeah.
the 5-2 range, whatever, without him. But if the NBA does suspend him, I don't think they suspend him until next season, because I think what they'll do is they'll do like we are investigating, and then in the off season they'll like, we gathered enough evidence to prove that we need to suspend him, and then they'll suspend him for the game, because I don't think they're going to jeopardize the playoffs and the ratings
Yeah, see,
and
that's
the
yeah.
money
It's
and
they
like there's
like
just
if
yeah
if you're the Timberwolves organization, like if you think like that in combination with like the police, like you said, it's a money thing. You could throw money at the situation
yeah.
and just I would agree, and it's like one of those things where it's like, But hey, I do wonder though. I don't even know how many years are left on his contract with the Timberwolves because I was wondering, like,
You mean the Grizzlies?
sorry,
He's
did I
talking
say
about.
that? Ooh, did I say that?
Yeah, you said Timberwolves. No, you're good. You're all good.
My bad.
Uh,
No, I'm just kind of wondering, like, because is this a situation where they could actually be like, okay, like we're just gonna wipe our hands, like,
no, they wouldn't do it. The Grizzlies won't do that. He's literally one of the young faces of this league.
well,
That's why
no,
I don't think. That's
no,
why I
he
don't think.
is, but yeah,
I think. I mean, look, Memphis is suspending Ja for the sake of suspending Ja. Like, you heard Ja say, like, "Oh, I'm going to take time off indefinitely to kind of work on myself." That was probably a conversation with the Timberwolves. Because here's the thing: whenever anything happens, the NBA wants to keep, or the teams, the organizations want to keep the NBA out of it. It's like the Kyrie situation, right? Like, they were doing everything to keep the NBA out of it because they didn't want the NBA to start getting involved and the Players Association to get involved and all this stuff, because it just becomes really messy for the
yeah.
organization. So usually what happens in a situation, like a great example is Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas
Ooh,
actually,
good one.
yeah. So Gilbert Arenas actually recently did an interview and he talked about this. Because he was suspended for 50 games for for bringing guns to the locker room, right?
Yeah,
He said, according to him, this is his words,
yeah,
maybe not verbatim, but essentially, he said that it wasn't that the team didn't suspend him, the Players Association didn't suspend him. He said that the NBA came. He said Adam Silver or Donald Sterling and Adam Silver came to him and said, hey, this is like, you're going to take these 50 games off or we're going to come after your contract.
yeah,
And so he was like, I don't really have a choice. So that So again, that kind of ties into like you want to keep the NBA out of it. Now, granted, Gilbert Arenas at the time was much older. He was kind of
Yeah.
towards the tail end of his career, where Ja is kind of just starting his. Ja's kind of this big face, all that stuff. It's a messy situation, period. But it's it's gonna be interesting to see how this plays out. If he gets suspended by the NBA, I will be shocked if the NBA suspends him the full 50 games
Yeah.
because he would miss the entire playoffs. And I don't think they're going to do that. I think if they do suspend him, it'll be next season. You know, they'll get they'll get the information and they'll
Yeah.
say, you know, like if Memphis, because here's the thing, Memphis, they might not even make it to the Western Conference Finals. So they could realistically be a first or second round exit over everything. Oh, I said Donald Sterling. I meant David Stern. Yeah, thank you for that correction. Sorry about that. Yeah, David Stern and Adam Silvers. But point is like so we like they might wait and see, like let them get to the playoffs, see where they're at, and if they get eliminated in like the first or second round, I could see like a day later the NBA going, "Oh, we found we got enough to suspend him. He'll serve 50 game suspension beginning next season, and then he'll miss like almost all of next year." But I would be a little surprised if he got suspended at all.
So now,
At all.
if they do suspend him, though, it carries on into next year, correct or no?
So yeah, so I mean, if they suspended him like today,
Yeah.
they have what? They have like 15, 16 games left. So
Oh no.
talking
Okay, I was just wondering. So it will go into the next season, though.
yeah, no, yeah, because it's 50 games regardless.
Okay.
So it's not like it's 50 games or the end of the day. They could if they wanted to, they could suspend him indefinitely. So it's a minimum of 50 games.
Question:
They
could this cause him to breach contract? Like whatever contract he has left with them, could this
with the
cause them to?
Grizzlies, yeah.
Yeah.
So like
Okay.
if the Grizzlies really wanted to, they could they could get the contract voided. That was the whole thing that was gonna
This is
happen
one of
with
those situations that would fall under like that,
yeah,
like where they can, where they can.
it's detrimental to the because you're a representation of the organization, you're a
Yeah.
representation, you know what I mean? So like there's a lot that goes in. That's why the NBA threatened Gilbert Arenas for his contract. You know, because you think a contract, like how are they going to go after the contract? Well, you just violated the NBA's guidelines and rules. You just
Yeah.
violated your contract. Because when you sign that contract, you're agreeing to the terms of the CBA, you're agreeing to
Yeah.
terms that the NBA has in place, all of that stuff. So, like, if I
Well,
mean,
you now
if
work for that company, so
if
it's like, yeah,
Memphis wanted to, they could just say, "Hey, good luck to you," and just cut him and bon voyage. And the NBA, and then if the NBA wanted to, the NBA could say, you know, hey, guess what? Like you're out the league. Good luck to you. You know, go find another career. You know, if will they? No, that's a huge extreme for something. You know, he didn't like shoot somebody or something like that. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, but they're really strict with those guidelines. And here's the thing: if you're the NBA, wouldn't you want to use him as an example? Right? He's one of the biggest stars in the league,
Yeah.
face of a franchise. You know, everybody recognizes him, everyone knows who he is. He's only going to improving it better. I mean, in 6 years, he's probably going to be like one of five of the best players in the league. You know, once like, LeBron and Embiid and all those guys start fading out, like it's gonna be like Luca, Ja,
Yeah.
Tatum, like
Trey
so
Young.
yeah, Trey Young, like guys like that. So like, he's very likely gonna be one of like the five hand. So like if you're the NBA, wouldn't you look at it and go, like, let's show we mean business. Suspend him the 50 plus games and
But wait, of course, it'll wait until after the season.
yeah,
So,
I just
yeah, and you know that,
there's
and
still a business.
well, yeah, you know the Grizzlies are like, even if the NBA was like, no, we want him suspended right now, the Grizzlies are gonna like fight that. Like they have, like again, will they make it to the Western Conference? it's a up in the air 50-50 toss, but like, are they assuring like, hey, this team is probably going to the finals? Not necessarily, but do they have a chance to make the finals? Yeah, I mean they have a
Yeah.
chance. Like,
Oh,
hey,
absolutely.
I mean they got close-ish last year.
Yeah. But to kind of pivot into sort of our last like little thoughts, and then we'll we'll dive into the chat here a little bit. But to close out the stream, D'Angelo Russell, because I want to touch on D'Lo because he's coming back tonight, or he's supposed to, unless there's some kind of hiccup or something that happens between now and the game. But very likely he's going to start tonight. I'm curious to see if they have him on minutes restriction. I mean, when we jumped on the stream, I didn't see anything. I was actually looking before we got on, so maybe something's came out since then. But realistically, he's probably going to come on and play. But what that does is that just is such a huge boost to this Lakers team, like huge boost. 3-level scorer, guy that can score at all 3 levels.